I came as a discipline officer, but then proceeded to, because there were so very few of us that had any experience, we kind of ended up doing all sorts of things. Initially, I think I became the shopkeeper, and then the storekeeper, and then I was in the office and back into stores, and I left in 2004. It was absolutely unique in the sense that you had this huge space and the countries, the greenery around it. I'd worked in places like Portlaoise and Harbour Hill, where it was bars and walls and bars and walls. The first day I walked into the prison, I walked through the main gate. The young lad that was in charge of it didn't even ask me who I was. That kind of thing. I strolled across and looked into the recreation room and said, oh God, because there were about 8 prisoners gathered around this nice open fire. And in the prison system, open fires tend to be a little bit frowned upon. And you could see this massive space and apparently nobody in it. It was directed to the office and the directions. It says, do you see the big guns there? Yes. Well, it's in between those, but don't mind the little guns, you know, that kind of a thing. So we just moved in and sort of grabbed what you could have. There was an office there and there were a few bits of stores, but no, it was, in the beginning, so disorganized that it was so amusing. No, well, the first challenge was that there was no security of any kind, really. I mean, we had the A block, and it was actually quite amusing. In a prison, the theory is you would keep an idea of the numbers that you've got. So we would count the prisoners in, and then they would open the window and climb out and go down and come back in again, so that for a prison with, at that stage, say it had 30 prisoners, you seem to be counting 50. So the solution to that was to put 6-inch nails into the windows, and their solution was to take the 6-inch nails out. And I think if you look at the A block today, you'll see the rusting cage sort of structures over the windows, and that was the final answer to that. You have to, I mean, each dormitory had a plywood partition and an ordinary door and a shooting bolt, and that was the total of our security at that particular time. So it wasn't surprising when things went to be a bit pear-shaped in September of '85. There were the odd escapes in the beginning, some of which were hilarious in some ways. You know, the prisoners were gone, and then the governor rings from home to tell the prison that the prisoners had gone. My first knowledge of the riot was, I looked over at the island and there was a pall of smoke hanging over it, and we kind of knew what had happened at that stage. I went into the guards because they were the most convenient place to look, and he said, did you work over there? I did. He said, you've no job. So I went down. It was 11 o'clock in the morning, or 12, I suppose. I met the governor and the assistant governor. They were in surprisingly good form for the situation that they were. So I went over, and this crowd were sitting up on the, or standing up on the roof of the C block, hurling insults and abuse, and the guards were lying up against the wall of the gym, and we were sort of sitting there, you know, basically waiting. And I think various of their relatives came and spoke to them and implored them to come down. And we weren't doing anything about it. And I think at 6, you know, 5:45, something like that, they started coming down. The guards got them into the gym, and then I counted them out one by one. Well, it was one of those counts where you wouldn't dare make a mistake because it meant that the prisoner had escaped, you know, so you had to be accurate. Well, that was my biggest particular problem there. Well, I haven't been well for a number of years and I'd had periods of absence, and I could see that things had changed a lot. It was becoming rather boring and rather routine, and I had 2 years to go to pension age, but decided that really my best interest would be served by going slightly early, and that's why I left it.